What happens when love turns into obsession and support turns into silence? Taylor Swift is one of the most celebrated artists of our time. Her music breaks records. Her tours redefine the industry. Her fans are known for loyalty that borders on legendary. But there's a side of this fandom few people want to confront. A side where passion becomes pressure, where disagreement becomes danger, and where speaking honestly can come at a cost. This is not a story about hate. It's a story about what happens when fans turn toxic, and how one of the most powerful fandoms on the internet became a controversy of its own. It usually begins with something small. A comment under a post, a lukewarm review, a joke that misses the mark. Nothing extreme. Nothing cruel. Yet within minutes, replies flood in by the thousands. Usernames appear from nowhere, screenshots are taken. Past tweets are resurfaced. And suddenly, a single opinion turns into a digital trial. What makes this unsettling isn't just the speed. It's the certainty. No questions asked. No context allowed. No room for nuance. To many critics, journalists, and casual listeners, the message became clear. It's safer not to speak at all. Over time, this behavior gained a name. Not officially, but culturally, people began referring to it as Swiftie pile. On's online spaces transformed. Comment sections felt guarded. Media coverage shifted tone. Criticism softened or vanished entirely. And when people noticed, they asked the uncomfortable question: how did it get this far? Part of the answer lies in emotional connection. Taylor Swift's music isn't just consumed. It's felt. Her lyrics feel personal. Her stories feel intimate. Fans don't just admire her, they identify with her. That emotional bond is powerful. But when identity is involved, criticism doesn't feel like commentary. It feels like an attack. So fans respond, not as listeners, but as defenders. And defense slowly turns into enforcement. Rules begin to form, unspoken but strict. You can criticize the industry, but not her. You can dislike a genre, but not her work. You can discuss music, but only within approved boundaries. Cross those lines, and consequences follow. Some creators quietly admitted they avoided covering her music. Others added disclaimers before speaking her name. A few disabled comments entirely. This wasn't fear of Taylor Swift. It was fear of the reaction. And then came the moment that shifted public perception. A respected reviewer released a balanced critique of one of her projects. They praised parts of it, questioned others. Within hours their mentions exploded. Threats followed. False accusations spread. Attempts were made to contact their employer. What began as music criticism escalated into real-world consequences. That incident forced a broader conversation. One that couldn't be ignored. Is intense fandom still harmless when it starts affecting livelihoods? Is silence from the artist neutrality? Or negligence? And where does responsibility begin and end? The controversy deepened when fans began turning on each other. Long-time Swifties, who expressed even mild disagreement, were labeled traitors. Some were accused of being fake fans. Others were told to leave the community altogether. For many, the fandom no longer felt welcoming. It felt conditional. Love, but only the right kind. Support, but without questions. And the irony was impossible to ignore. A fandom built around songs about vulnerability, empathy, and growth was struggling to allow disagreement. As the Swiftie community grew larger, louder, and more influential, so did its impact, both positive and negative. But the most disturbing moments were still ahead. Moments where the fandom's power collided with real people. Moments where lines were crossed that couldn't be uncrossed. Moments that forced even neutral observers to take notice. As the controversy grew, something unexpected happened. The conversation stopped being about music and started being about power. Public figures began speaking more carefully. Some avoided mentioning Taylor Swift at all. Others wrapped every opinion in praise, disclaimers, and praise again, just to be safe. Not because criticism was impossible, but because the cost of criticism had become unpredictable. One content creator described it perfectly. It's not that you can't criticize her. It's that you don't know how far the backlash will go. And that uncertainty changed behavior across the internet. Late-night comedians quietly dropped jokes. Podcasters skipped topics. Writers chose safer angles. Even fans hesitated before posting honest thoughts, afraid of being labeled disloyal. What made this moment different from other fandom controversies was scale. This wasn't a small group acting out. This was millions of people, connected instantly, reacting emotionally, and amplifying each other. And when emotions synchronize at that level, moderation disappears. Psychologists point to a pattern called identity fusion, when personal identity becomes tightly bound to a group or figure. In these moments, criticism of the artist feels like criticism of the self. Defensiveness becomes instinctive. Aggression feels justified. That doesn't make fans bad people. It makes them human. But unchecked, it creates an environment where boundaries collapse. The turning point came when a group of fans targeted the wrong person. A neutral observer, not a critic, not a rival fan, simply someone commenting on online behavior. They weren't attacking Taylor. They weren't attacking the music. They were questioning the culture. The response was immediate and overwhelming. Harassment followed. False narratives spread, and within days, the person deleted their account entirely. That moment forced a pause. Because if someone couldn't even talk about the fandom without consequences, the problem was no longer about loyalty. It was about intimidation. Even within the Swiftie community, voices began pushing back. Some fans spoke openly about discomfort. Others created spaces for respectful discussion. A growing number acknowledged that defending an artist should never mean silencing others. But changing a culture this large isn't easy, especially when silence from the center creates ambiguity. Taylor Swift has spoken often about kindness, empathy, and growth. Her music encourages emotional honesty. Her public image promotes positivity. Yet when fan behavior crossed lines, her lack of direct response became its own controversy. Some argued it wasn't her responsibility. Others believed leadership matters most when influence is strongest. There is no simple answer. No single statement could undo years of online behavior. No tweet could control millions of people. But what this controversy ultimately revealed was something bigger than one artist or one fandom. It exposed how modern celebrity culture works, how algorithms reward outrage, how loyalty can turn into enforcement, and how silence can sometimes speak louder than words. The Swiftie controversy isn't about canceling fans. It's not about attacking Taylor Swift. It's about understanding where passion ends and pressure begins. Because fandoms are powerful. They shape narratives. They influence careers. They decide what's acceptable and what's not. And with that power comes a responsibility many are still learning how to handle. The story isn't finished. The conversation is still evolving, and the lines are still being redrawn. What happens next depends not on charts or tours, but on whether fans, creators, and celebrities can coexist without fear. Because when fandoms forget empathy, they lose the very thing that made them special in the first place. If you found this deep dive insightful, make sure to like this video, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more in-depth stories about celebrity culture, fandom dynamics, and the hidden forces shaping the internet.